Hey guys, so this is your video on the Sun card, and the Sun card's pretty interesting too, although the symbology is very, very simple. So let's dive right in. I'll be working with the Rider-Waite as well as the Thoth, the Crowley, as well as the Wizard of Odd. So we'll start off with the Rider-Waite, and let me just focus here. So you can see here, oops, sorry. You can see here the Sun card, and the Sun card, we see a sun with a child sitting on a horse, a white horse, holding this red blankie type thingy and a red feather in its cap, lots of little sunflowers, and the sun. Okay, so the sun here has 21 rays, including, alternating rays. And 21 is the number of completion in the deck, right? So there's already, it's seeing the Star of Hope, the Star of Completion, and we're having here this child sitting on a white horse. So renewed innocence, again here, the cap, the feather of the Fool. So we can see that this child and the Fool here is there's so many different interpretations the way that we can see it, but in essence, the essence seems to be that here we are at a new beginning, right? We have some new understandings, we have some ideas or concepts, the brick wall on which we can build from and move forward with, that is intending to be there to protect our innocence, but we can allow ourselves to be absolutely free and show a core truth of ourselves that we've managed to dig up and out through all the experiences that came before. So it's loosely holding on to this blanket of desire, but it's not attaching itself to that. It's not identifying itself through that, right? It's just, holding on to it, whatever. And it's riding this white horse. And interestingly enough, we see the white horse before in the Death card, right? So the Death card is linked somehow to the Sun card. So how could that be? Another thing, but we'll dive right into it in the Crowley because the Crowley brings it out really supremely. But in the Death card, we see Catholicism or the church or religion. We see the stiffness. The whole energy seems to be of the way the relentless, the way this horse is riding through. And here we have something else though, and the horse seems more relaxed and its red eyes are gone. It doesn't have red eyes. See, the Death card has red eyes and this one doesn't. So it's completely relaxed and you can actually see its tail. Its tail is swishing here in happiness, right? Okay, so let's go into the Crowley because the Crowley really brings out the symbology that the Rider-Waite kind of hints at. And what's the connection between the Death card, the number 4, because 4 is here, because the Death card is the number 13, right? So what's the connection between the Death card, the number 4, 19, and the number 1, and the Fool of New Beginnings? Let's dive in and see. So in one card, Aleister Crowley really managed to kind of bring it all together. So in the Thoth Tarot, we see the sun, we see a mountain, we see the wall, we see two twins, we see the twins, we see 2 coins here with the sacred cross, I believe. And we also see, of course, the zodiac signs going right around on the outside. So, let me see here. If we look at it and we see that the sun represents our highest form of human intellect, it represents that side of consciousness that is really conscious and that is also able to learn and grow. And it builds on that which came before, right? So this is something that is learning, that is aware now, that has learned a lesson. The green mound is the fertile earth, and the wall here is depicting some kind of controlling element, because even if we've moved into total freedom, we're only really free because we're listening to at least one law, which is do unto another as you would have done unto you, and that this is represented by the balance of the twins. And the twins seem to be male and female, and one is the male here on the left side of the card, is representative of fire, or the energy of fire, and has red wings. And the female on the right side is representative of mentality or air and has yellow wings. Okay. So the medallions at their feet depict the sacred signs of the old eon, the rose and the cross. And although they've arisen from this, they still support them. Now let's get into this. Central to the symbol of the rose is central to the sun, put it that way. The rose is also a symbol for the sun, and the sun is an expansion of the cross. But it's the cross that is opened up multidimensionally, and it's no longer limited to the number 4, which is mundane law. So 4 would be the 4 elements, all of that, right? But now it's moving into expansion of that cross, which is opening up the 12 rays of the sun. And it's a really deep Kabbalistic path of initiation. And there's a lot to learn about that, but it's a really deep path of initiation, and where you move from the cross, which is represented in the death card, or the mundane world, moving past the limits of the mundane world, past the limits, the finite limits of these, the 4 elements, but also the depiction of that 4 elements, the depiction of the mundane world reflected in the kind of religion that we tend to, the sacrificial religion that tends to go in with that. And moving past that, in those confines of that kind of religion, belief set, mindset, you inevitably grow. And these releasing pains and patterns, recognizing what is holding you, what is keeping you locked down. In the Devil card, releasing all of that. In the Tower card, going through anxiety and fear. Who am I now? What is coming up out of me now? In the Moon card, renewed hope in the Star card. And here we are, breaking free, but able to hold on to the most basic principles, right? Which is love one another as you love yourself. And just moving into balance and alignment with all there is. So this is also representing releasing all those forms, because see how this is elevated, the whole, and it's elevated because there's a rainbow around it, and a rainbow indicates water, and it is with water that we baptize, right? So this is an elevation of all the symbols of the signs of the zodiac, and but also how should I put it? They're also translucent, so it's shining through. So these symbols are not only lived loosely or held loosely, right? And the true core essence is able to shine through. So all those limitations about how people or society or systems is telling you who you need to be or what you need to be, these are now removed. We've been able, the consciousness that is reflected in the sun has been able to remove them and is now able to live freely their core star essence, right? So this is huge. This is huge. It's a very deep message that is within the Sun card, and a very deep message that goes in with it. So the card represents simplicity, right? And it represents joy, evolution and emancipation from restrictions. As we can see, this also connects to the Hanged Man card because of the way the legs are being held by the twins. In the Hanged Man card, the legs are being held as well, crossed over, but here the twins' hands are free. So they're not being, they're not nailed to the matrix, or the actions taken are not limited to the finite as it is in the Hanged Man, but they are free, right? The red and yellow wall is, of course, the wall of the base concepts of morality, basically, right? But they're also the integration of the twins, the qualities of the twins, of male and female, of inspiration and thought, because the masculine represents the fire, which is inspiration, right? And the feminine is yellow, which is thought, which is mentality in this case. So the thought and the desire have united, and they're in harmony, right? So really simple, but when you stop to think about it, it's really deep. It's really, really, really deep. And it's a summary of what can be achieved after you, which is huge, right? Absolutely huge. This state of being cannot be achieved while, if you haven't moved through the previous steps, right? So the previous steps, of course, would be all the other cards that came before, all the other experiences, insights, realizations, all of that. Okay, so what's also interesting is the rune that has been assigned to it, which you can see in this Wizard of Odd tarot cards. So here he has, of course, the sun symbol all along the edges here, and he has Sowulo, the rune of Sowulo, and Resh is the head, so that indicates consciousness in the Kabbalah, or this kind of consciousness, this thinking kind of consciousness, right? And here this rune, Sowulo, which people know really well from other times and different uses. So that rune has been abused, unfortunately, but only truth prevails, right? So in any case, the rune Sowulo originally meant sun, or it means the sun. It reflects the energy of the sun, the power of the sun. And interestingly enough is that in Nordic cultures in old days, and in not just in Nordic cultures, but in very, very, very old cultures, the sun was seen as female. So it's still reflected in the German language, for example, where the article that goes in front of the sun is the feminine form. So it's die Sonne, right? In most other languages or countries nowadays, the sun is masculine. But here we're seeing how originally it was thought that the sun is nourishing and warming and nurturing and caring, and these were all qualities of the feminine, right? And we can still see that connection too with, which is interesting because it shows how people may have thought about the feminine way back in the days of where it's possible that there was a matriarchy, right? Where it's possible that they connected feminine with control, right? What they do now is connect the masculine, obviously, with control. But we see that because it's always shown symbolically in these old Nordic writing symbols, how the sun and the sun wheel, the sun and the wheel, right, always come in together. And the wheel in runology is called Rido, and Rido has to do with controlling, being able to control yourself, a situation, consciousness, and direct the flow of its focus, right? So in old images, we also see a female holding the reins of a wagon which pulls the sun over the sky. And behind her is a wolf that if she slows down is going to eat her up. So it was always seen as this wolf being negative influences or forces, or how should I put this? The wolf being seen as sometimes, being gossiped. Like if you shine bright, there's always that shadow that follows you, right? Always these people that go after you. So there are a lot of different stories that explain that and how that links, but it's interesting. Anyhow, Sowulo is shown here as the sun. The sun represents as well this desire to reach for higher, this desire to move higher, this desire to understand more, open more, reach higher levels of awareness and consciousness. And it represents the inner self and the light of the inner self. So it shows here also that Sowulo is like it's shaped like a lightning bolt. And so the energy of the sun can be very sudden, can be immensely infusing with energy, similar to a tower card, but in a more nurturing way, in a more supportive way, in a more giving way, right? And what else? Oh, if you cross two sun symbols, you take the Sowulo and you put another one on top of it, you end up with this common symbol that everybody knows, and it can go in one direction or the other. I don't remember what it's called in English, but this one here. So it's Hakenkreuz. So you end up with that, which is one of the oldest and most ancient symbols for the sun. In almost every culture on this planet, it has been seen. So in one direction, it is drawing in energy, and it turned in the other direction, it's expressing energy. So it's a very, very powerful symbol. The sun, because Odin has one eye, right, can also be seen as the eye of Odin, and the moon would be the other eye of Odin, which he gave up to receive knowledge and wisdom, and is now in the well of Mimir and is reflecting the light of the sun. Anyways, and you only see it at night. So that the rune Sowulo can be worked with to bring healing. It's a very powerful rune for healing, to infuse with energy, to infuse something with energy, but it can also be used to concentrate, focus, and collect energy so that it can be used like a laser beam. So be mindful. Alrighty. And another thing with the sun card is that it ties in with the aces and the tens in the minor arcana. It also ties in with the magician. How does that do? Because it's a 19. So 19, 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So it's taking the energy from the ones, or reflecting or showing itself through the ones, the aces, and the tens in the deck. How is that? It expresses itself through the magician in way of communication. So the sun influences communication. Then the Ace of Swords, clarity. It brings clarity. The Ace of Cups, love and wisdom. Then the Ace of Wands, truthfulness and authenticity. The Ace of Pentacles, success. Then the Ten of Cups is satisfaction, happiness, joy. The Ten of Pentacles, richness, wealth, abundance, again success. And the challenges that it may bring are in the Ten of Swords, which is showing a fear of being ruined, a fear of disaster, a fear of destruction, but also the Ten of Wands, which is oppression, right? Being suppressed. So that can definitely, fear and oppression can shut off the inner sun. That's basically what that is saying. Okay, so we have to get a grip on our fear and stay out of situations that don't bring us joy, that make us feel energetically overwhelmed, that make us feel oppressed, and the sun will be able to shine through. Those are the two main things that will block that energy. So what happens when the sun shows up in your reading? Well, it obviously means success, but it can also mean to make things simpler, right? Because truth shines through. Either the light is on or the light is off, you know? And so make things simpler, bring things down to a 1, right? Find one thing to focus on, one thing to pour your energy into, one law to live by, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. But of course, love yourself first. But you learn that, I hope, through going through all the other cards. But in any case, when it shows up in a reading, these are the meanings that it can have: happiness, success, joy, abundance, everything good coming your way, warmth, moving to southern places, or traveling to southern places, the south, anything to do literally with the sun or what we associate with the sun. Okay, the sun really energizes all the other cards around it. What is positive is made even more positive, is made even bigger than what it already is. But it can also be overshadowed. So if extremely negative cards are around it, that can overshadow the sun. But there are some rare cases, but your intuition will guide you. Okay, so thank you so much, and I'll be back with Judgment and then the World, and the series is done. We'll see. Take care.